Good morning, everyone, and welcome. And again, I would like to start with a short breathing, mindful breathing exercise. Okay. Try to keep your back straight, if possible. It helps to be more awake, more alert. At the same time, try to relax, let go any tightness, stiffness. Then try to let go of any thoughts of the past, futures, by keeping your mind to the breath, observing mindfully as you inhale, exhale naturally. If you find your mind wandering, distracted, anytime you find, gently, gently bring back your attention of the mind to the breath. Anytime you find your mind trying to go somewhere else, recognize, be aware, and bring back to the breath. Once your mind is settled down, more calm, more quiet, then we can try to contemplate that so many of our own families are no more in this world. Some of our friends, close or little distant friends, relatives, so many of them also have passed away. So many of people that we knew throughout our lifetime, so many of them are no more in the world. Not only they died and no more in the world, we didn't expect them to die that year, that month, that week, that day. It was almost like shock, surprise. So not only it came suddenly, unexpectedly to them, that could also happen to us. There is no guarantee our life can come to end in next 10 years, 5 years, this year, or even maybe this month, this week. Nothing is certain. And also among those whom we knew who have passed away, many of them were quite young and also quite healthy too. Being healthy and young always does not guarantee that you will live more than others. If the lives come to end in this year, this month, this week, are we ready? Do you feel ready? If we don't feel ready, why we are not ready? What need to be cared of, taken care of, so we feel ready. anytime. If we feel we are not ready, then that means, you know, we need to prepare ourselves now and be ready anytime, whenever it comes, so that we can accept and experience without so much struggles, more peacefully. And the best way to prepare ourselves for such situations is to really practice the Dharma, working with our own mind, not only Dharma, to be able to practice the Mahayana Dharma, the Bodhisattva's path as much as possible. So that whatever lifespan remaining we have, we can be more beneficial, helpful to others, so that we create less suffering, harm to others, and we ourselves find more peace, joy, sense of meaning, satisfaction in our life. And in order to prepare ourselves with such Mahayana Bodhisattva practices, then we continue to study, learn. We continue to be reminded of those practices. And therefore, I'm going to listen to the talk, not only listen, but trying to integrate as much as possible if we find anything helpful, beneficial from the talk, the teachings. In order to free myself and all sentient beings from all the suffering and cause of sufferings, and in order to achieve fully awakened state for oneself and all sentient beings, I must achieve that fully awakened state. For that, I need to meditate, practice correctly, continuously. Therefore, I'm going to listen for that purpose. Okay.
So taking refuge in generating bodhicitta, once in English and twice in Tibetan. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye chodan soki chonam la Janchu bardu dagni kapsuchi dagi chonenge pesonamgi Jola penshir sange drupar sho sange chodan soki chonama Janchu bardu dagni kapsuchi Dagi churnenge pesonamgi Jola penshir sange drupar sho.
Anche regioni zone da tam je pang be je tam be chun ne ten je be go dam de la cha sa lo. Uh, in following this, the essence of refined gold by Third Dalai Lama, we are in a sections where he talk about the bodhisattva practice, the what is known as the Great Scroll practice. And within that, we are in the sections where he talked about the practice of six paramita or perfections. And within that, we finished the first four paramitas, the practice of the paramita of the generosity, moral discipline, patience, joy, effort in the virtues. And we are on the fifth paramita, the paramita of shamatha, meditative concentrations. So we are on that. First, let me read from the text itself. It is very, very short. How to train in the perfection of concentrations. With the bodhicitta motivations, separate your mind from excitement and laxity and train in mundane and super mundane concentrations. So here the motivations, because it's the bodhisattva's practice and it's the paramita, therefore the intention motivation is always bodhicitta. Without the bodhicitta motivation intention, then even you practice meditative concentration, it wouldn't be the paramita of meditative concentrations. It will just be ordinary meditative concentrations. So the motivation should be always the bodhicitta. The reason to cultivate that kind of karma abiding or meditative concentration, shamatha, is so that by cultivating that concentration, so that we can develop special insight, the wisdom realizing emptiness, that can act as a direct antidote in cutting all the afflictive emotions, all the delusions. And by cutting all the afflictive emotion delusions, so that we can, while on the path, we can be more help, benefit to others, and also it leads us closer to achieve our highest potential, the fully awakened state, so we can be the greatest benefit to each and every sentient beings. And so that the motivations is that. And as it mentioned, then try to meditate, concentrate, free from the excitements or distractions, and laxities. Those two are the main obstacles, inner obstacle to develop the meditative concentration and or karma abidings. We'll talk more about that. In order to develop single point in meditative concentration, karma abiding shamatha, one should be able to focus on the whatever object you choose, object of meditations, whatever object of meditation, to be able to concentrate without any distractions for a long period of time, without any distractions. If your mind is distracted, then you cannot achieve that the karma abiding shamatha. Not only your mind should be focused and steady and not distracted, but also your mind should be, there should be clarity in your mind when you are meditating. Clarity and also intensity. Even your mind, even you are not distracted, even your mind is not distracted, but if your mind is, if there's no clarity, then again you cannot achieve the shamatha, karma abiding meditative concentrations. Even there's a clarity, if there's no intensity, also you cannot achieve. So they need to be steady, not distracted, also clarity and intensity or alert in that. Those are the qualities that one need to develop within mind in order to develop such what we call, karma abiding, shamatha, basically meditative concentrations. So that is where separate your mind from excitement and laxity and train in mundane and super mundane concentration. The mundane concentration are the common meditative concentration that you find within the Buddhist and non-Buddhist earlier school of thoughts. Also, they have a very high level of meditative concentration too. That kind of meditations, general karma abiding, shamatha, meditative concentrations is not unique of the Buddhist meditations. Okay? It is kind of common technique of meditation that you find not only in Buddhism, but also some of the earlier school of thoughts in India. But here is called such, even you have achieved such meditative concentration, it is called maintain ordinary, because if you don't have wisdom realizing emptiness, still while you have concentration, you still have that it is contaminated by the self-grasping ignorance, because you don't have the understanding or realization of selflessness, the emptiness. And so therefore, even you have a high level of concentration, but that is still kind of being contaminated by that self-grasping ignorance. And therefore, that is why still maintain concentrations. And super maintain concentration is that then your meditative concentration is not being contaminated by such self-grasping ignorance, because you have realizations of the selflessness or the Four Noble Truth or the selflessness. And so those are the two where when it is mentioned here, training in mundane and super mundane concentrations. Or from the point of view of directions, train in the various karma abiding concentration, special insight concentrations, and concentration combining karma abiding special insight. So again, from that we can understand there is, mm, karma abiding concentrations. And through karma abiding concentration, then you have special insight. And when you have that special insight, then through that special insight, then you have another special insight concentrations. And then also combining, so also one can train in those three types of concentration. Or from the viewpoint of functioning, train in meditative stabilizations, which abide in physical mental joy, realize. So when you achieve such kind of meditative stabilization or concentration, then one develop, physical and mental bliss, joy, blissfulness, and experience in this very life. One can experience this in very lifetime. When one achieve that, one will feel physically, mentally more, flexible, more lighter, and through that, more joy, more joyful feelings on physical sensation, on mental level, more blissful feelings on physical sensation level and mental level in this, right? And concentration, which actualize higher qualities such as clairvoyance, supermountain ability, and etc. And also, one the in purpose of the purpose of cultivating meditative concentrations, there are many different purposes, many different reasons. In Adishas, one of the earlier great Indian masters around 10, 11 centuries, Adishas, in his light of the path, lamb of the path, you can say lamb of light, yeah, of the path. In his writing, he talked about why we need to develop these meditative concentrations. If you develop this meditative concentration through the power of meditative concentration, then one can be able to develop such as clairvoyance and other many qualities. And by having developed such psychic powers, such as clairvoyance and many other psychic powers, then you can be able to help and benefit sentient beings more. So it is a tool to develop sentient beings. If you can read others people's mind, you will be able to help benefit more then. If you can understand past and futures through clairvoyance, you will be able to help them. And so therefore, if one can develop such power, mental power, such as clairvoyance or other form of psychic power, then one will be able to have more tool to be help and benefit to others. And in order to have those psychic powers, clairvoyance and other form of psychic power, then you need a meditative concentration, the karma abiding. And so that is why one need to develop karma abiding. Adisha explained in that. Shantideva in his Guides Both a Way of Life, then he explained why we need to develop shamatha or the meditative concentration, because he says without a special insight, you cannot destroy the afflictive emotions. You cannot destroy or cut all the afflictive emotion from the very root of it. And without meditative concentration, one cannot have special insight. And therefore, one should try to develop the karma abiding or meditative concentrations in order to develop shamatha. In order to develop the special insight, the wisdom realizing emptiness. And also both Adisha and also Shantideva explain, without that kind of meditative concentration, you can meditate for long time, but it's hard to have good result because your mind is always distracted. And when you try to practice, meditate with distracting mind, you are less likely to achieve the result that you want. Whether you are meditating on emptiness, whether you are meditating on loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, or whether you are meditating on any form of, Vajrayana practice or any other form of meditations, if you don't have that single pointed concentrations, then you are sitting there, meditating there, you are sitting there, but your mind is not sitting there. Your body is sitting there, your mind is not sitting there, The moment you sit, then you started, things comes about, I need to do this, or I need to do this. I didn't finish that one. So all the, with such distractions. So your body is there sitting, but your mind is not sitting. Your mind is traveling. Your body is sitting, your mind is traveling, or many places. And so therefore, that is why we struggle. That is one of the reasons why we struggle to have the result from those practice meditation we should have, as explained in those scriptures, because our mind is not fully there. Our mind is not fully there. And so therefore also that is why both Shantideva and Adishas mentions, to have to in order to achieve any spiritual realizations, it is important to have strong meditative concentrations such as karma abiding shamatha. And so that is where here is saying, high qualities such as clairvoyance and supermental abilities, etc. And concentrations which accomplish the need of worlds, And again, if you have concentration, you are able to function better, whatever you do. When you are trying to help, when you are trying to function in the world, to help someone, to help another, if you have meditative concentration, you will be able to benefit more others. Uh, because you have more control over your mind. Even though maybe when you are not, if we don't have wisdom realizing emptiness or selflessness, even though we might not be free from all this delusion completely, but when you have developed certain level of meditative concentrations, karma abiding with shamatha, you have some level of control over your mind. So it wouldn't be same like now, where we lose control of our mind and become so frustrated, so easily frustrated, so easily impatient, so easily angry, so easily bitter, so easily jealous, and all of that. And when we have all this emotion arising so strongly and so easily, then we cannot, it is harder to help others, benefit others, and function better, because we are being overwhelmed by one of those emotions. How are you able to help someone who needs your help and you want to help when you are so frustrated, so angry, when you have you're unable to control your mind. But when you have more control over that mind, then you will be able to help better. Whoever need help and wherever you are trying to help. And so that is why here is saying. So here the author doesn't explain how to develop the meditative concentration itself. Of course, you will find in many others teachings, writings, many other lamrims. But in this particular text itself, the author doesn't go in details because it has already been covered in some others commentary was already written by that time, so maybe he didn't feel like that he need to go in detail in that. But I think we are going to talk a little bit about that. In generally, when you talk about meditations, mainly, of course, there are subdivisions within that, but mainly there can be two kinds of meditations, analytical meditations and non-analytical meditations, placement meditations, placing your mind single-pointedly to the objects, Whereas analytical meditation is not, pointing your mind single-pointedly to object, but actually you are using a lot of thoughts, a lot of analysis, a lot of examination. So that is analytical meditations. So when you're doing analytical meditations, then you are changing the objects because you are thinking different reasoning, different logics, different examples, different experiences, whatever So that is different meditation. Here, when you are trying to develop the single-pointed meditations or placement meditations, then you don't do that kind of so much analysis. You try to do non-analytical, single pointing or single placement of meditations on the object. So that is here. Special insight meditations is more analytical meditations. This karma abiding or shamatha is placement meditations or stabilization, whatever different term that is, we might use, but that is in terms of the object of the meditations. You find, like in many of they are mainly, like 5 sutras on mindfulness, extensive sutra, middle sutra on mindfulness, and shorter sutras. There are many versions, different. And in those sutras, the object of meditation is mostly the breath. Mostly the breath. Buddha taught that the object of your meditations being as the breath, mainly that. But also you find in other sutras where Buddha also describes the object of concentration meditation using as the image of the Buddha. So in Mahayana, especially in Vajrayana, they use the Buddha's image as the object of meditation for concentration more. In non-Vajrayana, especially in Theravada, then they use more the breath as the object of the meditations. But again, there is no conflict in that because one can use any objects, to develop concentrations. There is no, in terms of developing concentration by developing, yeah, that is it. Like, I just want to read from the sutra, Mahayana Sutra, King of the concentration sutras, the Buddha said, bodhisattvas is concentrated when his mind is engaged in the meditative objects. That is golden body of beautiful protector of the world. So that means here he talked about bodhisattva cultivating a meditative concentration by using meditative objects, the golden bodies of the protector world, mean the enlightened ones. Okay, so that is the source of those. And then Kamalashila is another great Indian masters around 7, 8 centuries. who also came to Tibet. His teacher, Shantarakshita, was the one who actually brought the Buddhism in Tibet. And then after his teacher passed away, he came and he wrote, you know, of course he had written many, but stages of meditations, you know, um, 3 different stages, middle, the first and the last. And he, in his that, he said he should, practitioner, he should fix his mind on the body of the Buddha as he has seen it or heard it as described. So if someone has seen the pictures, statues, they can use that object to look at it, and then without looking, then having that image in your mind. If someone doesn't have any pictures, statue, anything, then someone describe how it looked like. And through this description, then they have that image in their mind. Basically, what is saying the objects of meditations using the Buddha's image. And in another great Indian master, Acharya Ashwagosha, also he's same. Be firm in your contemplations. Always use one visualizations. With many visualizing sensations, your mind will be excited by the delusions. So, but again, also he also explained visualizing one image of the Buddhas as the object of meditations. Okay. I wanted to give a little bit of those. Sometimes I like to recite those sources because sometimes there's a lot of time they think, oh, these are all made by the Tibetan teachers, lamas. And if you go further, you find in Sutra and you find in early Indian masters using the visualizations or using the Buddha's image as an object of your meditative object of your concentrations. So it is not something that was, made up, by later the Tibetans teachers. And that is one of the reasons I always like to go back to the sources. And that is so object doesn't matter. Also, sometimes you find, in certain meditations, using the nature of your mind as the object of your meditative object for concentrations. So it can be the image of the Buddha, it can be the breath, it can be the nature of your mind, and even with the nature of mind, you can develop meditative concentration by using the relative nature of your mind as well as ultimate nature of your mind. It will be much more difficult to use the ultimate nature of your mind as a meditative object for concentration for most people, unless they have a good understanding of the ultimate nature of the mind. Otherwise, in terms of development, or you can use even the image of flower, the sun, moon, just to develop meditative concentration. It doesn't matter. It can be internal, external image, breath itself. So that is the objects. It depends on individual how they feel more comfortable, There is a story of, over one meditator who used to be shepherd looking after all the sheep, and then he got instructions from teachers, and so he was meditating to develop meditative concentrations, and his teacher gave him the object of meditation, the Buddha's image, to use that as an object of meditations. And he found it difficult, to have that image in his mind, to use that image as the object of meditations. Even after meditating for a long time or a certain time, he was having difficulty. So he went and see the teacher and explain him, what he had been doing and the struggle that he's having. So then teacher says, keep the horn of the sheep as the object of meditations. And he did that, and he achieved concentration quickly. He didn't so much struggle with that because all his life he has been seeing those horn all the time. So when he think of that image, it comes so easily for him. Whereas with the Buddha's image, he had to struggle to create image that he's not familiar with all the time. And so he was struggling with that. But then once the teacher told him that think of the sheep's horn, and because this is something he has seen so all the time, so it was easy for him to keep that image and just focus on that image without losing that image. And so that just gives you an example how the object can be anything, and for different peoples, some people connect with certain things more easy, less struggles with certain object than others. So again, that is in terms of the objects. Meditations. The duration of meditations, the advice by all the masters is, of course, if we are trying to develop just general our concentrations, here we are talking about trying to cultivate a shamatha or kamabhata very specifically, not just trying to improve my concentrations or my attentions, which we can do every day, all the time. But someone's very serious to really dedicate themselves totally to develop that kind of kamabhata and shamatha, then, in that cases, then one conditions is very important. Normal to improve our concentrations, meditations, attentions, we can do everywhere, anywhere we can, possible, wherever you are, whatever conditions. But if someone is seriously committed to develop kamabhata and shamatha, then you need to have a very conducive conditions. And you dedicate for how long as it takes. Sometimes people might be able to develop in 6 months, maybe very few people can do. Some can take 2, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Some might take 10 years, 15 years. Some, it might take 20 years, 30 years. But during that time, you totally dedicate just for that. Some of the monks or teachers that we know who have developed concentrations, they went into those places in that, leaving everything behind and just focus on that meditation for certain period of time, So in that, the conditions very important, and especially, very quiet places, in the many of the scriptures, both Indian and Tibetans, they talk about, not even having a sound of water runnings even that can be distractions. Even just sound of that. So trying to find as quiet possible as that, not being disturbed by not only humans, animals, and other sounds. Again, someone really seriously considering that. I think in those cases, conducive environment, and there are 4 or 5 qualities of this such conducive, but we don't need to go in all of them, at the moment, and mm, and having few thoughts, fewer thoughts, fewer distractions. That is why when they do that, they leave everything because you are close, your mind get more easily. You can find difference if you go retreat place to do retreat and you try to retreat in your home. Try to see, you can find difference. For advanced practitioner, they might not find difference, but for the beginner, if you are home, even you take off for weekend, 1 week, 10 days, you want to do retreat yourself, you see thing, oh, I need to fix that one, because you cannot. So all this thought come, oh, I need to fix that one. Oh, maybe there's something's went wrong. And this, so all this become, but when you are in a retreat place where you don't, then you have less distraction of all of this. There's a difference. Same way, when you leave everything behind and you go into remote area to do karma abiding, and then at the very beginning, you should still have some thoughts about the home, about the family, about things. But with the time, those thoughts will be less. And so there will be less distractions in your mind also, And so that is why it becomes more conducive. I often hear a lot of students, who come to different places like such as Kopan monasteries, and they find meditation so easy, soothing, calming, seems like it, and then they go home back and they struggles. And many of them, they struggles. And it's not the same feel, and because that is the environment. The environment makes huge difference. For the beginners, we're not talking about advanced. Once you have achieved high level of practice, such as karma abiding, if you have already achieved shamatha, karma abiding, then it doesn't make difference. You can be any part of the world. In the most noisy, chaotic place, you can still go in deep meditation without being distracted and disturbed. But for those who have not already achieved that and who are beginner trying to achieve the environment, make a big difference. And so therefore, someone trying to develop shamatha, then trying to have that kind of conducive environment, less thoughts, having less distractions is important conducive conditions. And then in terms of meditations, and I think this not only apply to when you are seriously trying to accomplish shamatha, but even in our everyday, if you are trying to do meditation 1 hour, 45 minutes, half hour, 1 hour, if you try to do that, especially you are trying to, it's better to have more sessions, shorter sessions at the very beginning. Shorter session, more sessions. As your qualities get better, because when it's shorter, we can concentrate better. We are able to concentrate better for shorter period of time. And as it gets longer, then we struggle to concentrate. And we struggle from our mind not being distracted or not being falling in the laxity, all of that. And then when we allow ourselves to be distracted because we try to do long, and after some time our mind gets distracted, our mind fall into laxity something, then our mind get in that habit. Then every time you sit on cushion, the mind thinks, oh, it's time for me to get distracted. Your mind is used to that, you know. Sometimes just sitting might just, what do you call, unconsciously, subconscious level, your your body kind of lit at all. That, like some people, moment they see they fall asleep. And how they start sometime at the very beginning when they were doing meditation, sitting, they were very tired to start with. Okay? They were already very exhausted and tired, and they try to meditate and they fall into sleep because they were already exhausted, they were already tired. After some time, your body get used to that. Your body started to say, hey, it's your time to relax now. Even when you are not exhausted and tired, this cushion, sitting on the cushion, feel the right environment where you can just now go sleep and just because both your body and mind remember the previous memory, where you are totally exhausted and that, and some, and so it can be like that. It can become like that, and so therefore, and so yeah. So then when you sit meditating, then some lamas, also His Holiness Dalai Lama shares the story, and also they say, in Tibet, some of the cabinet minister or cabinet who run the government, when they need to plan, they go in a retreat, and when they try to do retreat, those thoughts comes. When they are not doing retreat, even they try to come with solution how to fix these things, they find very difficult. But when they are trying to do retreat meditating, then all this started to come, all these thoughts. And so that is why, again, the mind, so that is why the advice is to do shorter many sessions. And then slowly, you increase the durations of the meditations. And as you increase the duration of the meditation, then you can reduce the number, Before you are doing 20 meditation in a day, let's say if you are doing the whole day meditating, I'm giving it just a number, 20. Definitely you find in the scriptures number 18 being described, but I don't think that is a fix. It's just one of number saying many, And then as you increase slowly from 18, then it becomes 12. You have increased the duration of your meditations, and then slowly from 12 to 8, and then 4, and then slowly maybe you might be able to meditate 2 hours without any distractions, or even more. So that, and even you don't have to get out of your cushion and go somewhere, while you are still on cushion. If you have, let's say, 20 half hour or 45 minutes, 1 hour, you do 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and then you take a little kind of break. You move around body, refresh a little bit. Again, sit for 5-10 minutes while you are still there, and then slowly 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20. So qualities is the importance. Sometimes we go for duration. Oh, I meditated 1 hour. or half hour. That is not the case. You might do 10 minutes or 15 minutes. That might be much more where you are not distracted, where you are able to focus. That might be much more stronger and powerful than you did 1 hour with a distracted mind. So qualities. So that is why the advice is, more sessions, but shorter. And then that is how. So that is the durations. And in terms of the whatever object you use, for your meditative objects, breath, nature of your mind, Buddha's image or any other image, uh, whatever you use, in the materials, ornament of the sutras, he explained how to develop shamatha from the point of view of overcoming 5 obstacles, inner obstacles, and applying 8 antidotes towards that. I don't think I'm going to go through that. Maybe that might be. And then there is also to develop 9 stages of meditations. And maybe I might probably want to talk a little bit more the 9 stages of the meditations. And 9 stages of meditations are like you start from the stage, and it's like going to school, grades, kindergarten to finishing your, elementary school, So where to start? And then as you make progress, then when do you reach the second stage, third stage, fourth stage, and ninth stage? And when you reach the ninth stage, that is when you are able to develop, single-pointed meditative concentrations. Not shamatha, karma abiding still. It is beyond the ninth stage, the shamatha or karma abiding, because the ninth stage of meditation is still the mind of desire realms. So I think that is the one that I wanted to a little bit talk about it. I don't know, today we might not have time.
Ashla, there was one question online. There may not be time, but our online audience did not hear much of the fourth Paramita joyous effort because we had Zoom issues last week. So Christina asked if you could please offer a brief synopsis of the fourth Paramita.
The fourth one.
Yeah, the fourth.
So I think the 9 stages of the meditation, I think maybe we will do next week so that I don't kind of really rush it. So yeah, what do we talk about the fourth paramita, the paramita of perseverance or joyous effort in the virtues. We talk about, in order to have that kind of joyful perseverance or effort, because the fourth paramita is joyful effort or perseverance. Is not only perseverance and effort, because effort and perseverance can be unjoyful as well. We can put effort, we can have perseverance, but not joyful. So it has to be the fourth paramita, it has to be joyful perseverance, joyful effort. And also the objects of that perseverance and the effort has to be virtues. something virtuous. That is what makes. So therefore, because we can have perseverance, effort, not only effort and perseverance, joyful towards negative, non-virtuous, or neutral things. Neither is virtuous, neither non-virtuous, it's just neutral things. But this, when we talk of the paramita, the fourth one, it has to be joyful, not only joyful perseverance, but the object has to be virtuous. Paramita, part of the paramita. So not all the effort and perseverance are the paramita, the fourth paramita. Not all, even joyful ones. That is one thing. And in order to have that kind of joyful perseverance effort towards virtues, towards your practice, virtuous practice, maybe I should say, virtuous practice, towards your path, your meditations practice, then there are four, we already talked, I think even before that, the four, three obstacles that one need to overcome, and by applying, and gathering the four conducive conditions. And we talk about four conducive conditions to have that joyful effort, and one is we talk about inspirations, having the inspirations into the practice, into the meditations, the virtue, the path, whatever the objects, If you have more inspirations, the more energy you will get, and normally more energy that you have, the more you will be inspired to engage in that, to engage in that practice, in that meditations, in that path, because of that inspirations, strong inspirations. And in order to have that strong inspirations, then we meditate on all the good side or the benefit of such practice, the path, the practice, the meditation, the virtues. The more benefit you understand, the more inspiration you have, the wish to develop, the wish to achieve, the wish to engage into. So inspiration is the one thing, and the other one is the kind of the confidence and steady mind. And that is another factors that help in that. As in all the teaching says, when we engage in practice, meditation on the path, there should be steadiness, not fluctuating so easily, where you feel like you want to do something and you do a lot today, and then tomorrow you don't do anything, hardly anything, day by day or week by week or month by month. 1 month you get so excited, you do 3, 4 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours, and then next month you hardly do much. There is no steadiness. There's no continuity, consistency. And the consistency, the steadiness, continuity is more important. Even you do shorter practice, even half hours, 20 minutes, but if you have that consistency, continuity, steady, over the time you will have better result from that. And I mentioned, I've seen that in terms of study, in terms of practice, even in the monasteries, some monks who are very bright, some student very bright, but who doesn't have that steadiness. And then there are some monks who are not so bright, but they continue to study and practice with that steadiness. After 20 years, those who are not so bright end up becoming better because of that steadiness, that continuity, that consistent. Some of them who are very bright by the end of that, they don't turn out so great or in studies because they didn't have that consistency and that steadiness. And that is same whether in study, meditation, practice, and that's steady, continued. That is, and when you do that steady, continue and consistent, because you are so familiar in terms of practice, you get very familiar with that. And it requires less effort because of familiarity. And less effort, you enjoy more. Less tiring. And I think many of you might have found, I myself have found, certain meditation practice, that you do for a certain period of time, and you start to get familiar and easy and to do that. But after some time, you stop that meditation because maybe you want to do something else, whatever. And then after some time, when you restart to do some meditation, now it requires more effort because the familiarity has gone away now. Now you need to get more familiarity with that. Again, your mind get used to that familiarity, that kind of rhythm, and it requires more effort. And 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 then when that happens, it's less encouraging, to do the practice, to do the meditations, because it's, and so that is also why that consistent is so important, a steady, consistent, to keep that familiarity, um, familiar with that practice, meditation, so that because it's so familiar that it doesn't require hardly much effort after some time. And without effort, the meditation practice becomes better. Is you enjoy more because there's less effort, less tiring. The more effort you feel, normally you feel more tired. So less effort, less tiring, more enjoyable, and also less effort, also, um, less distractions, less distractions. When you started to relax. And as we go through the 9 point, that is one point, learning to, so anyway, so again, when you are more relaxed, less effort, then better result, and you enjoy doing it. So that is the one thing we talk about, the steadiness, the stable, um, and then bringing joyfulness. That was where I was. Another factors that help is the bringing the joyfulness in your practice, your path meditations. And I spoke that, that we can be creative in our practice meditation too. All these practice meditations are not kind of rigid and fixed. Even those different visualization, different meditations, when I read 10 commentary, that each commentaries have many difference. Different lineage, different tradition, different teachers. And again, so what it shows is, the main thing is that one does not lose the essence of the practice, the meditations. What is inside the container, the food is same, but the container can be changed. If you like what color you like, you can have that container. You like different size, you can have that containers. You like different design, you can have that. So that is being how it is more suitable for you, the container which you like. Similarly, what is more suitable for you, we can be really creative, but the main thing is that the food is the same. The essence is never lost. If you lose the essence, then that becomes problems. So we have to understand in all these teachings and meditation and practice, trying to understand what's the main essence of this practice. What is the main essence of this meditation? Once you understand that, what is the main essence? What we are trying to achieve from these meditations? What are we trying to achieve from this meditation, this contemplation? What is the main essence of the? Once you find it, then you can have a little bit modified according to, individuals, whether it's suitable, not suitable for them, whether they are able to connect, not connect, whether it's effective them, not. And then you can be creative in that. But to do that, you have to really understand the main essence of those practice meditations. What is the main essence of that? What is the main practice of that? What is it trying to achieve? And if once we're under this is what we are trying to achieve. And if to achieve that, if this one doesn't suit me, by using from this, if I go from this way, I want to climb the Mount Everest. I cannot climb from this way, but I could climb from the other side. The goal is to achieve there. You understand the goal, the main essence of that. So whether you go from south, north, east, west, that is according to individuals, what their body capable and guide, everything's, So that is similarly that, I think. So to make it more joyful, that is the one thing. Bringing the joyfulness in the practice. And to bring joyfulness in the practice, that's where I was saying that one can be creative, a little bit creative in that, to make it a little bit more joyful. And even with the like Wednesday class we have going through, and when you read all these commentaries, and all these are given by great masters, and they have 3 different way of doing it, 4 different way of doing it, and so whatever is suitable for you, try to do that. And so that is similar, is never kind of fixed and rigid, Sometimes people become so rigid and fixed, and then they try to do something that they cannot connect. They find difficult to connect. They find something not suitable, not effect, and connect, and then sometimes they have lung, wind, disturbing wind energies, because it's like you are pushing yourself so much towards something that you don't really enjoy, and that you struggle. And so therefore there's no joyfulness. And when there's no joyfulness, then you cannot have the joyful effort, the 4th paramita. So bringing that joyfulness in the practice, in the virtues, meditation is one of the factors, important factors. And the 4th one we talked last time, is knowing when to relax and rest when you need it. And we talk about it. Sometimes we have to listen to our body and mind, and when our body and mind needs to rest, relax, you try to give rest and relax. And when you give this rest and relax, you have better success of having long time, Otherwise, it's same thing, I gave an example last time, when you're driving or anything, when your engine is getting hot because you have been driving too much, and if you don't give brake, then it will kind of burst. The engine will die, and then you wouldn't be able to go where you need to go. But instead, you have given little rest, half hour of rest, to cool it down, and then drive. You will reach where you want to reach. You will get where you want to get. Same things that to have a long stability, longer durations, we need one, when we are lazy, we have to be honest with ourselves, knowing our body and mind. Am I being lazy or I'm really exhausted? Sometimes our mind can play a trick. The mind is very tricky. The mind will say, oh, because it doesn't want to do the practice. Even you are not exhausted, it will try to convince you are exhausted. You can skip the practice today. You are exhausted and you are tired and you can skip the. So of course, then we have to be honest and really knowing our body and mind and seeing whether we are really exhausted. If it is really exhausted, giving the rest, relaxing. If it's not just our mind not trying to play a trick, And when you are being lazy, then we have to push ourselves a little bit. Otherwise, again. So it's knowing when we are being lazy or we are being tired and when we need kind of little bit rest, relax, so we can refresh, re-energize so that we can go longer ways. And so that bringing that part is another important factors to have this joyful perseverance in long term, yeah. And that will also come very big role also in developing material concentrations. It's like driving a car. The balancing. The brake and the what do you call accelerate, huh? Accelerate, gas. Easy. Accelerator. That would be easier. Give me the easy one. So balance the gas and the brake. When I never learned fully, but when I was learning, that was what I noticed. How much especially when there was no automatic. So you have to let the brake slowly and push that very slowly. And there is balancing of that seems to be the key. Otherwise, it goes and it breaks, and like that. And that is similar, the balancing part. When we need to push a little bit because we are being lazy, we have to push it a little bit. You put the gas, And when you need to rest it, then you break it. You need to put the brake that you have to take the rest and relax. Okay. Okay, we do the dedication. I think we do the quick dedication. Oh yeah, also. So we just do the
Shantideva.
Shantideva today.
And
Yes,
Amanda says, thank you very much, Geshe. Okay, here we go. May all beings everywhere plagued by sufferings of body and mind obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.